Hey guys, what is up? I hope everybody has been having a great day. Happy to be back with the quarterfinals of Event 4 of the Rockwell Long Drive Series, put on by the Professional Long Drivers Association. If you guys could do me a favor and like this video, it would be greatly appreciated, as that will help get this video out to more people, and that increased exposure will allow us to continue running bigger and better events, as well as improving the overall infrastructure of long drive. Also, if you guys are interested, please go subscribe to the Professional Long Drivers Association YouTube channel, which I'll link in the description below. We are really doing everything we can to grow that and to continue growing the sport and just to continue making things better for the future. So that being said, let's hop into the video as we're about to get started with our quarterfinal match number 1, which I believe is between Justin James, who is currently getting ready to hit, and Landon Gentry. You may have seen both these guys. They've both been doing very well this year. So this will be a really good match. And you can see Justin already coming off of 2 wins in a row. So he's been really hot. And if you guys want to check out the last couple of events, I'll have them linked in the top right-hand corner throughout the video, different episodes. And, and so we'll definitely continue to be putting out more videos and more events if you guys keep watching them. So, didn't quite hit his best shot there. A bit of a miss hit.
Ball speed.
And you can see again, 149 on the club, but only 209 on the ball. And by the way, the bottom right corner is total distance on TrackMan. But however, because TrackMan can't directly measure roll, it's not a 100% precise measurement, but it gives you a good idea of the true quality of the drive, assuming all bounces were average. So if there's a little bit of disparity there, that's why. So say it said 370 and the ball came back at 380 in reality, that means it probably got a really good bounce, and vice versa for a ball that should have gone further than it did. So that's a nice little way of kind of showing you guys the true quality of the drive. And in the bottom left-hand corner is spin rate, and then I'm sure you guys can figure out the top right corner is ball speed, and the top left is club speed. We'll be seeing, there will be a few guys, including Justin, who can get to the 150 range. So we'll be seeing some pretty good horsepower. I am in the next match after this as well. So stay tuned for that. And now Landon Gentry up.
Landon Gentry, ball 1.
He's got one of the best swings in the sport of long drive. It wasn't his best swing there, but he's just a very solid, fundamentally sound hitter. He's not crazy fast, but I'll tell you what, he can sure hit it a long way, and that's really all that matters in this sport. It's not about how far you can, it's not about how fast you swing, it's about how well you can swing fast, and Landon does that very well. So even though he mishit it, still in the grid at 359, so at least he's on the board.
Alloway head.
And this is a little bit better of a swing right here, turning it over. And one of the things you'll notice about Landon is he hits the center of the face more than pretty much everyone. He's a 13 or 14 year veteran of the sport, and he had a Final 8 appearance, and I believe it was 2011 or 2012. I'm not sure. He's had, I believe, 2 Final 8 appearances in the World Championships, and including a Final 4 in 2012. So he is a perennial contender, and he's had a really good year, including a runner-up finish earlier this year in one of the events. So he's been very solid this year, and he's really been hitting it solid. So and you can tell in the bottom right corner, 378. Even though he pulled that left, that would have been enough to catch James. So he's definitely got the pop to eclipse that number if he can put it together in the grid. So now James up, and also I'm sure you guys have noticed we're doing a bit of a different format. It's going to be 3 balls each, and then they're going to rotate. And the reason we did this, we felt it kind of messed with the flow a little bit, having someone kind of go in, hit 1 ball, and back out, and then another guy go in, hit 1 ball, back out. Kind of the flow was a little weird, and so let me know if this is a little bit better for you guys. I think it helps the quality of the content move by a little bit better, maybe a little bit easier to follow, just 3 and 3 instead of 1 each time. So let me know about that. And so Justin now trying to build on his 15-yard lead. He definitely has more in the tank here. Another really solid ball here. He's kind of sitting in the high 140 club speed, 220 ball speed range is pretty typical for him. he has, so far in this event, he has a couple balls over 400, 410 being his longest, so he definitely can get there. The wind did lay down a little bit, but the numbers were still going pretty comparable to what they were earlier in the day. To this point, I believe I had the long ball at 420 yards, and it was definitely, 400 yards was definitely still in play at this time, if you caught one right. You can see there 399 with Justin, so that's definitely in play. And so now Landon coming up, and looks like he's got 385 to beat. Definitely something he can touch. Definitely Justin's ball at 399 stayed in. Landon would definitely be playing differently here. But, he's a veteran in the sport, and he knows that he can get to 385 with a really solid center punch, 141, 142 club speed. So that's what he's going to be trying to do. You can see him sitting. I mean, that's exactly what you need right there. I know it was only 357, but it was just because he pulled it a little bit. If he gets inside of the ball a little more and launches a bit higher, 142, 212 at that spin rate is enough to catch 385 if it gets a good roll. So he's still very much in contention here if he can just find that shot in these last two swings.
We are on trying to multitask.
And again, he's hitting the shot he needs. He's just getting a little over on top of it and hitting it a little bit too low. He probably needs about 30 to 50 more feet of height, and then maybe a little bit less draw and start it just a little bit further right. And that's, if he can do that, then he's got a chance to catch him for sure. So he's a veteran of the sport, and he's been in many situations like this, so let's see what he can do here. And he absolutely killed us. I was warming up, and he turned on this, and I heard him scream, and put a great move on it. And, unfortunately, it really just, and you can kind of tell on his face there, he didn't really like the bounce he got there. And so I think they're going to call it back at 368. Yeah. So, and that was just a factor. You can actually see the flags right now, how they're pretty laid down. So, had he hit that in his fourth or fifth ball of the set, that would have been a very close to 385. So a bit unfortunate for Landon there, but it is what it is. When you get to these final eights, these are tough. I mean, these are slugfests. These are wars of attrition, every one of these matches, because every single one of these guys can hit, trust me. So you can see me in the corner there. I'm up next, and then after that we have Ryan Reezbeck against Brandon Flynn. And then Press Labrie and Scottie Pierman rounding out the final eight. So I'll be coming up here shortly. And Josh Koch, another breakout star this year, won the first event. And he's been a very consistent top 8 finisher. So he's definitely one of the top guys in the sport at the moment. And you can see why. 147 mile-an-hour club speed, 218 ball speed, and 1,700 RPMs of spin with high launch will definitely make you a top guy in the sport. And I would consider him probably the most improved player. He was already a really good player last year. Probably sat in the mid 140s club speed with good launch. And he was that guy who was making a final eight here and there. He made it onto TV at Fort Jackson, and he was definitely a factor. But he's taken it to a whole new level this year. He's gotten about 4 or 5 miles an hour club speed faster. And he's one of the top probably 5 fastest in the world now. Right there with guys like Martin Borgmeyer, me, Justin James, guys that are in that 150 club speed range. So he's definitely not an easy match. So he's out there at 375. And the left side of this grid's a little bit soft. And so we're trying to hit this up the right center. That's the speed slot. That's where my 420 ball came earlier. And that's where all the 400 balls have been coming pretty much, is up that right center.
Josh,
because the left center is sits a little bit lower on the ground, and it's a little bit wetter, and you can kind of see even the center is a little bit damp. You need to be really in that right half speed slot, because both those balls could have been 390 plus balls if he gotten them in the right spot of the grid, and maybe with a little bit higher launch. You can see the flags they're moving a little bit better now. They're a little bit more than when Landon was hitting, but they're still not quite where they were earlier in the day. I mean, we were having some sets where 400s weren't winning. But as I said before, 400 is very much still in the picture here with a good 220 plus ball speed, good launch down up the right center of the grid. So now I'm stepping in here, trying to put a good swing on it. And I love this one out just a bit. I love the starting direction I have right here. It just didn't quite let the face turn over the way I wanted to. And so that's going to be something I'm going to be really working to do here. You can see me checking the TrackMan numbers in between the shots, and that's something that's really nice about having the numbers is every player can kind of check out their numbers, and it gives them a very scientific way to adapt and adjust and correct. And you can see I did the same thing, just a little. I'm getting closer, but look at that. You can see 403 yards. So I know if I can turn this one over, I have a really good chance here. And my numbers are looking really good. I got to say, I was probably, relatively speaking, the fastest I've ever been in my career at this event. And I know a lot of you guys have seen me put up numbers better than 224 ball speed, but this ball, the top flight bomber hitting, is significantly slower than last year's Volvic AMT ball, like at least 5 miles an hour. So for the true ball speeds, if you want to extrapolate for last year, I would say add 4 to 5 miles an hour to these ball speeds, and that's what we would be getting if we were using the brand new AMT balls from Volvic. So, but these are really nice balls. I like them a lot. They fly well. Just because they're not as fast does not mean they're not a higher quality ball for long drive. So these definitely are fun to hit, and so they fly really well. And they're not like a tour ball or anything like that. You know, because obviously Callaway, they make some awesome balls. A couple other companies make some awesome balls. So this is a good long drive ball for sure. It does its job. And so you can see Josh there getting really close to 150 miles an hour club speed. And he's got to be feeling pretty good right now. Obviously, 377 is not a very safe number, but I think there's a big psychological element to it. When you're in the lead and the set's kind of winding down and you are also hitting, you kind of feel like you're in control of the match. And so this was a great ball. And 2600 spin, a little spinny. Pulled it up the left side. And but good numbers, 147, 219. And notice how this is a good example. How it said, so 396, and he got a pretty good rollout. They weren't giving it up too much on the left side, but he was able to find a little bit of a rollout on the left side, and not many guys are getting it. So really good job of finding that, and pull this one left. So he's really put up a number here. This 396 is a very solid. You know, that's a number that you're probably going to need 220 ball speed to catch. So I know what I have to do, and it's just a matter of when you're in this situation, you really just got to become okay with losing and okay with winning. If you get to what I found is if you start tensing up and trying to force a good shot, pretty much the closer you get to your last ball, the more you start to panic, and that's the worst thing you can do. You really need to just kind of relax, breathe, be deliberate, and just you really have to have total acceptance of the outcome and just do your process, and then whatever happens, happens. And there you can see me, really good numbers. I just hit it up the left side, and, you know, I just didn't get the roll. And I knew that was probably going to be the case because that left center just hasn't been giving it up very well. And Josh was able to find some rollout on that, but it hasn't really been doing that too much throughout the day. And again, another really big ball here, over 400 yards. It's my second 400-yard ball of this set, but it's not in play, so it might as well be 0. But, I mean, I know my numbers are really good right here, and, you know, I'm just trying to stay calm, stay relaxed, not worry about, you know, whether or not this goes in or not. My only concern here was just to put a good swing on it, and I was just going to let the swings – I was going to swing a little harder here because I noticed I was a little bit late, so that's what I did. I just swung a little bit harder, got up to 154 club speed. Really, honestly, not a center punch, but it was definitely a solid strike. And I wasn't sure. I knew it was going to be close. They were waiting for the numbers to be called back. And, yeah, they called it back at 398. So I got through this by the skin of my teeth. You know, but it just goes to show how important it is to kind of collect yourself and hit a good shot. And I'll tell you what, that's what I live for. You know, I really missed this last year when we had the TV matches and, you know, the pressure was on and you had to find something as the clock wound down. I missed that. And it was nice to be back in that situation and to come through. So, So that was really good, and kudos to Josh on another really good tournament. He's definitely going to be someone to watch out for going into the national championships at Memphis next month. So now we have Ryan Reezbeck, a veteran of the sport, someone you may have seen in earlier videos, and Brandon Flynn, definitely the Rookie of the Year, no question about it. One of the most impressive rookie campaigns I have ever witnessed. And so Ryan getting off to a bit of a shaky start, pulling it a bit left here. Don't know if that caught a piece or not, but I think it was out left. But solid numbers here: 143, 213, 1750 spin. Those are good numbers. Maybe just needs to launch a little bit higher here.
I don't even know what he's built
and
like.
Pulls that one a bit left too. And but Ryan's a veteran, and I mean that's the fact of the matter is when you're facing guys like Ryan or Landon who've been in the sport for 10+ years, these things don't bother them. They're not concerned about how they're starting or how the set's going because they know that it just takes one good one good ball, and everything else is done. And that's really all they're worried about. And starting to get the club speed ramped up a little bit more. So this was pretty solid swing here. Left it out just a bit to the right. But again, that was one of the things that drew me to long drive. My first ever event, I hit my first 7 balls out, and this is back when we had 8 balls. I hit my first 7 out, and it was a dreadful set. I hit 7 really bad shots, and I just connected on my 8th ball, and it was a perfect shot, and it ended up coming back at 474, and that's all everyone remembers of that set. And that's the great thing about this sport is you can really completely just hit the crap out of everything and hit bad shots, and you're going to be in a good you can just hit 1 ball. It's all it takes is 1 good swing, and you're back in it. So you can see Brandon, looks like he might have injured himself there in the Achilles, the calf range. I'm not sure the exact specifics of his injury, but I think he had a problem going on with his a calf. I think it was like a calf strain is my best guess. So you can see Brandon now on the board at 370. Even though he did injure himself, I think it was very important psychologically that ball got in. So now he's not going to be pressing, trying to find something. In his mind, he's in the lead, and he is. And so I think that's a very important psychological thing to get you settled into the set, because I think the more settled you become, the easier it is to hit a good shot, especially at these speeds. And I think it's a lot more physical getting to the final 8. What I mean by that is your speeds and your skills, and that kind of stuff. But I think when you get to the final 8, it's a whole different dynamic. That's why it took me a very long time before I started winning final 8s. I remember I got bounced from the quarterfinals, which is the first head-to-head matchup of 4 straight TV events before I finally won one. And it's because the psychology is so different. Because when you're in earlier sets, it's against multiple people on the set on the tee at the same time. It's a lot of rounds, so a lot can happen, and the regression to the mean is much more prevalent. And when you get to here, it's 6 balls against 1 person, in one set. And it's a different mindset. You almost got to shift from hitting your ball and trying to make good swings to you really got to have control of your mind out there and be confident. So Brian here with a really good ball up the center, taking lead at 381. And 380 range, that's the range it's kind of touch and go, whether or not you're going to take the set at 380. That's, I would say, anything in the mid to high 380s, you got about a 50-50 shot of winning your set. So Ryan's, he knows he's got a number at the very least, but he, in his veteran mind, knows he probably needs to put something out there past 380, 381 if he wants to have a odds-on chance of making it through. So he's definitely going to be looking for some more here. It looks like he bled this one out a bit right, so you can tell in his body language that's definitely not a number he wanted to leave on. And this next minute and a half for Ryan is going to be very, very long. And I can tell you guys from experience, even when you have a number where you absolutely just smoked the ball and it's as good as you could hit it, it's not a fun feeling when you have no balls left and now you're watching your opponent chase you. And last year, you would hit, the way it worked in the final 8 on Golf Channel is you hit 8 balls, and it was you hit your 8, and then your opponent hit your 8. Then the opponent hit their 8. And that's why I never liked going first, because I just didn't want to have that feeling. I wanted to have the hammer. There were a few times I did have to go first, and it's just terrible. I mean, it is bad. Just even if you put up a good number, it's even worse if you put up a mediocre number. Just watching that guy just chase you, it's just such a helpless feeling. So that's what Ryan's going through right now, because Brandon definitely has 381 in him. He's got the numbers. He's just got to square one up and turn it over. You can see him run after that one a little bit. He's going to build on his 370, I believe. And he's going to now get inside of double digits now within Ryan. And you're definitely getting close when you're less than 10 yards away. That's when you start to that's when it starts to get pretty serious. So down his last ball here, and I mean, quite frankly, one leg. So let's see if he can pull it out.
Encouraging your competitor.
Ooh,
and he
good
really
ball,
did a good shot here. This one was really good. 144, 214. Spins a little high, but he's probably going to get away with it because it's up the right side and it's speed slot. So a lot of people this was going to be very, very close. And you can see in the bottom right there, TrackMan has him at 382, and that is what it got called back at. But they're going to give him measurement. So in long drive, if it's not obvious, what we'll do is go to a measurement. We'll measure back count it. So from the hash line back, how close is it to the number? So the 6-inch rule is what we abide by. So if balls are within 6 inches, they're deemed a tie. But in this case, Reezbeck's block, she got called back at a long 380, and Brandon actually had 383 upon closer counting. So huge upset there. Fantastic hitting by Brandon. Really had, and I can't speak enough to how impressive that is as a rookie to get injured and to be down to your last ball and to be able to collect yourself and hit a good shot. And Brandon's a good golfer, and he's got enough speed to be one of the top guys. So he'll be one of those guys to watch for a very long time because he's also pretty young. So I'm looking to look for him in the next video in the semifinals as well. So far it is Justin James, myself, and Brandon Flynn in the semis. Very familiar names there for sure. And now on the tee we have Press Liberty. And Press has definitely been pretty animated in this, and he's probably one of the most passionate guys about the sport, and he's one of the few guys who's really, really young. Like I think he's a year younger than me, so he's gonna be someone who's around for a long time. Very impressive swing, very impressive move, and he is a pretty good golfer himself. So, and I find a lot of the guys that really are consistent in this sport tend to be very good golfers, and it makes sense. If you want to be consistent, you need to be able to strike the ball well, especially when you only have 6 balls to put out a good number. And I love the little recoil he has on the follow through. And for those of you who are wondering, recoil isn't all show. I'm not when we have that kind of recoil, it's not because we're trying to show off or make ourselves look faster. It is actually when the club is moving that fast, it has to change direction, or else what happens is it's going to pull against us as it hits the follow through. And we're kind of going to it's going to be an awkward stretch. So in order to control that club's bounce back, we will pull it through ourselves, just like that, just to control the weight of the club instead of have it kind of pull against us. So that's kind of a little explanation on that. So 147 miles an hour club speed. And so press to the so-so number. It's definitely a number. And trust me, an average, a mediocre number is far better than no number, especially when you're going 1 against 1, because the psychology, as I mentioned before, is so much more prevalent and much more of a factor. So now we have the 2-time amateur long drive champion, Scottie Pierman, definitely a very impressive hitter, and he's been doing very well in the amateur ranks, and you're about to find out why. He's got one of those swings where he's got a perfect ball flight, very towering, sweeping draw, and those tend to do very well in long drive because obviously a high launch means the ball is going to carry pretty far, and typically draws have a much shallower descent angle, which means the ball will land with a lot more speed. And obviously another thing a draw has going for it is spin's typically lower. So when you talk about a ball that flies far, lands shallow with a lot of speed, with not a lot of spin, you're going to see some pretty good distance. And you can see there Scottie taking the lead on his first ball, now on to ball 2. And you can see again, 142 club speed, a little bit high in the face there at 196 ball speed. But again, I believe that was possibly a double read on the spin. I'm not sure because it definitely didn't seem like it spun that much. but you can tell how far the ball is going because even a miss hit, he's just got such a good swing pattern and ball flight that it's still in 375. So he's about a low 140s club speed guy, but with his ball flight, that makes up for any kind of speed that he might be given to anyone in the sport. Just with his, and you can see the flags really starting to go here. So this is his chance to really put up a big number. Let's see, pulling it a bit left, but I like his action. He's really coming from the inside nicely and just releasing the hands. And he's definitely got. He had a couple big balls earlier in the tournament, and I think he was like the second or third seed going into the final 8. So he's been hitting it great all week. And so now press 3 yards back and 3 balls left. So let's see what he can do. Definitely got the pop. I would say these guys are pretty much dead even in speed. Maybe a very slight edge to press, but nothing more than 2 miles an hour. And there's a big ball right there. 145, 213, ball speed, 2400 spin. That is a very good swing there right down the center of the grid. You can tell he liked that one. And he gets a call back at 385. So press takes a 6-yard lead with 2 balls left, and I'm sure that one felt pretty good. And you can definitely expect some faster swings now because he's got the lead, he's got 2 balls left, and he's going to be going for broke. Because 385, that's what as I said earlier, that's like a 50-50 number. That's where you're basically 50-50. So he's definitely going to want to build on it. I actually almost flinched because I thought the club head was flying back at me from that recoil. So I left this one out a little bit right, and but you can see the ball speed and club speed numbers. If he can line up a 146 club speed, 216 ball speed with that spin up in the center of the grid, right center, we could probably see a mid-90s ball. And anything in the 90s, you're feeling pretty good. You're not feeling invincible, but you're feeling pretty good. So that's what he's trying to do here.
Another one.
And this one, another very similar shot, 2292 RPMs. But right down the right side. I mean, that's where he needs to put it. And see if this caught a piece of the grid. Yep, it caught a piece. So that's exactly what he needs to be doing. I mean, he put that up the right center in the speed slot, and he got a 389 ball. So he's basically right there at 390, and that's where you're feeling good. So Scottie can definitely touch this number. He's got the horsepower to match that. But it's going to need to be a center phase contact down the right center of the grid with high launch and medium spin. That's what he's looking for here, and he's got 3 chances. And so again, you can see the numbers. 144, 214 is pretty much matching press. And he can, but with this really, really high draw, with this wind, if he can keep that spin in that 2,000 to 2,300 range with the same speed numbers and just start it a little bit further right so that it draws into the right center of the grid, he'll be very, very close. He'll be right on 390. And I would say his monster ball is probably 395, 400. That's probably the limit of his capabilities right now. So he can definitely find this shot in there if he hits it right. You can see that's definitely what he's trying to do here. Left this one out a little bit to the right. But again, he's got experience. He's won 2 amateur long drive world championships. So he's been in this situation before. And so you can see do a very veteran move here, calming and collecting himself and getting ready for his last swing here. Making sure he's all settled. Definitely has this one in the tank. It's just a matter of finding it with this last ball. And it was coming in just from the right and right center, right side. And I don't think he thinks it made it. And so everyone's waiting for the call back on the number there. See where he is. He gets called back at 383. So good ball. Had he been a little more square of a hit, probably would have been very close. So, but all in all, really great showing by a lot of the guys out here. And you can see me getting ready for the semifinals. So that's the standings there. So stay tuned for the semifinals and finals coming up in a couple days. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please like, comment, subscribe, and be sure to subscribe to the Professional Long Drivers Association YouTube channel that I've linked in the description. And I hope you guys have a great day.